Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Bitcoin is in a very interesting place, so I do just want to take a look at some charts, see what the MDX ALGO indicators are saying, go over some strategies I like to use when scalping, and so on. Feel free to ask any questions about my indicators, settings, the features, or just questions in general. I'll do my best to answer them. But with that, just hopping over to Bitcoin here, this is my 4-hour chart. It's no surprise, you guys, that I'm going to be talking about this green box because I have been pointing out this level since June 23rd. And that was obviously we had this high here, and then we got a close above that level. So that is my new higher high, the way I'm looking at structure here. And the lowest point between those two would be down here. So that is what I am treating as my higher low as far as this trend goes. It is looking weak. The fact that we just keep tapping away at it, I don't really like that, you guys. However, that being said, support is support until it's broken. Support always looks weak when you're approaching it. I mean, there was a lot of people shorting into this, shorting into this, shorting into this, just really shorting into support each time. So right now, I really don't want to take a short and short into this support. Although I do see the reasoning that, hey, things are looking weak. We're not gaining a ton of ground here, but just the fact that I've been watching this box for 3.5 weeks now, and anytime we get near it, I've just been starting to look for longs, just scalping longs basically. I have absolutely been hoping for a nice big breakout on part of the scalps, but when I scalp these areas, I like to start taking profits fairly quickly, whether it's a quarter of my position, a third, or a half, just basically depending how confident I am on the position. I like to start taking profits quickly and start updating my stop loss to break even very quickly as well, if possible, and then hope to catch a runner on the rest of my position. So right now, same thing goes, you guys. I don't like that we are down in this box again after trying to get this breakout here. That being said, notice I haven't really changed the range here, and my reasoning for that is we didn't really get a decisive close above some of these wicks here. Like if I draw basically a trend line from this wick to this wick and extend that, it was still just looking like a bit of a failed break, a swing failed pattern. So I didn't really want to consider this a new higher high. And even if I did, actually, the higher low would have barely moved at all. This would be the lowest point between, let's say, this high and then our higher high there. So our support would still technically be there, and we are still closing candle bodies on top of it, just wicking down below, not seeing a close below. So that's what I do like about what Bitcoin is doing right now. I don't like that even just kind of going towards the top of this box. You can see that we're starting to just face a little bit of resistance, just really showing how accurate this box is and how well it's been respected in the past. I mean, yeah, maybe we could change it just a very small bit. I haven't in the last 3.5 weeks, but even if we went something like that, you could say it might respect a couple more touch points and stuff like that. But just the way I like to do support boxes, basically taking where the beginning of this range bottomed and taking that whole wick zone. That's basically where I got this green support box and why I've been bullish anytime we get to it. Because until this structure breaks, support is support. So yes, again, it looks weak. It looks like we're just kind of, well, quite honestly, just kind of rounding and about to just jump off a cliff here. I don't like that this last candle closed red, although it is still in the box here. I really would have liked to see the fact that we got this little liquidity grab. We've had this little fake out below my box. I would have loved to see some more buying strength come into the markets. And once again, seeing the candle bodies closing above the box, just because that's been a common theme with this whole range. I would have loved to see that. I think it would have been showing a great deal of strength from the bulls. But the fact that it never really did get that explosive bounce, I am a little concerned by that. But we're going to have to see what happens. If we can get a bounce here, and especially if we can get kind of a close above this structure over here. As far as this swing goes, that's the lower high that I'm watching. just because we had this low after this dump. Obviously, we had this low. Well, actually, we had a low here and a lower low here. So technically speaking, the lower high would be somewhere in here. But I just like to use the bigger structure point in this instance, and also just depending how other time frames are lining up and that kind of thing may make a little bit of a difference. So basically, this red line, I would love to see Bitcoin end up just getting some kind of a push to the upside, engulfing all of this and start consolidating up here. I think that would be absolutely beautiful for the price. But as it stands right now, absolutely, it does look a little bit weak. So that is a little bit concerning. I have actually been considering even downsizing my position. I'm in a very small profit right now on the position that I've had open for quite a while now. Which is odd for me. Usually I'm a very scalpy, I'm very in and out of this market, but just because this is such a strong level that I'm watching, I just want to be in a bit of a position here. So I am just debating downsizing my position just because things do look a little bit sketchy. Not only that, we have these warnings on the smaller time frames like the 1 minute. I don't know how many of you guys have noticed in the group chat, but I've been pointing out this W strategy, basically using the W's to point out which way the trend is going. And there was just, even on this little bounce that we had just earlier, right before this video, pretty much, you can see that we just set a W here. And we set a lower high with a W there. So just a bit of a warning shot fired there. Something that I do want to pay attention to, even though it's only a 1 minute. That can be a very powerful signal in showing which way the market's trending. That's a very strong confluence that I use lately for choosing if I am scalping. I like to see which way the W's are going. That can be very strong confluence for just kind of choosing which direction you should be trading. And I actually made a video about that right here. It's on my YouTube channel, StuTube Trading, all one word. Bitcoin trading strategy. It's very quick. It's only like a 5-minute video, 6-minute video talking more in depth about that. But something that I've enjoyed using over the last several months, actually. So yeah, as it stands right now, if I hop over to the weekly chart, another thing I don't really like is this blue box I made. I was just basically looking for the highs of this previous little range here. And you can see that we're just having a hell of a time getting above it. We're getting basically the opposite of the 4 hour, right? We're getting wicks above my resistance box, but we're not really getting those candle bodies closing above that level. So obviously anything can happen here. The week is still very early. This candle, I mean, for all we know, this candle may come down halfway into this range and then engulf and get a close above these wicks here. I mean, that would be a great sign of strength as well. But as it stands right now, this is just something to be a little bit cautious about. Obviously, I mean, I could, if we're looking for an actual like support zone flipping into resistance, I mean, we could take a much bigger range, actually, even to the top of this wick here. I'd say that's more realistically our range of resistance at this point, and we are technically trading right in it. So that is definitely something to be cautious of. What I do like about this is that we never just got a very harsh rejection from this level. Since this was such a strong level of support back here, kind of at the top of our bull market when we started changing into a bit of a bear market, that was a very strong level of support for a very long time. So to see that support, I mean, technical analysis, just basic technical analysis, I mean, that support could quite realistically flip into resistance. Doesn't have to happen. The start of last bull market, that did not happen. And I myself was one person who did get blindsided by that. I was shorting into well, here I can show you. Basically, same thing, right? We had a strong level of support before we turned into a bear market. Or, I mean, technically this was the start of the bear market, but flipping from bull market to bear market, strong level of support. Everybody expected that to flip into very strong resistance and get shut down very hard and see new lows and all that kind of stuff. I was one of those people shorting that level thinking it was obvious, and we just ended up blasting right through it. So the fact that we aren't getting a harsh rejection at this level is nice to see. Yes, we might have a double top forming and that kind of thing. So again, it's just a level to be very cautious of. absolutely there's resistance there, but just because it's there does not mean that it has to give the market that downward push and, you know, see new all-time low or new cycle lows or anything like that. As it stands on this weekly chart, I am still bullish on a longer time frame like this, just because we had this low, lower low, lower high. That's this purple line here, flipped from macro, very important resistance level, flipped perfectly into support, and we took off from there. So I'm very bullish on this chart, just knowing that structure of the chart has changed, but obviously in the short term anything can happen here. So I think this is going to be a fairly important 4-hour close, to be honest, and we'll actually catch it at the end of this stream in about 40 minutes. This 4-hour candle will close. I don't know. I really have a feeling what I would like to see is this green candle actually close back above this green box. I think that would be a great sign, just showing that this was a bit of a bullish liquidity grab. Obviously, anything can happen. I don't have to be, that doesn't necessarily have to pump if we do get that close above. But as far as I'm looking at it, I am still favoring my longs just because we do have this support here. If we do end up dropping this box, and I mean like actually closing candles, not just wicking below, I would be a lot more likely to start trying to scalp some shorts. And that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily looking for a home run short at that point. I play the bullish side better than the bearish side, so I just play longs better than shorts in general. But at that point, I'll at least be entertaining the idea that I will most likely be looking for shorts at that point, as far as scalping goes, just because I think there could be a lot more downside. I mean, if we look at a bigger trend line, something like this, I mean, yeah, absolutely. We could be going for a third touch point of this trend line. That would be totally natural price action, if you ask me. I don't know exactly how we would take that route, but if we end up closing candle bodies below that green box, I don't really see a reason why we wouldn't at least get close to this trend line. I have a feeling it would be front run a little bit, and you may actually see something just like that where we get close to it but don't quite get it, just because there's going to be a lot of people watching that trend line. As we get closer to it, so many people are going to start talking about it, and I already have seen a lot of people mention it. I'm by no means the first, so just a few levels of interest that I'm watching as far as more of a midterm play is concerned. Really zooming in. So yeah, you guys know I love being a degen. I love hopping on the 1 minute, especially for these streams. It's just the best way for me to basically show you guys the things I look for with these indicators, the strategies I use, like these W strategies and that sort of stuff. It's just easier to do it on the 1 minute versus longer time frames, just because obviously we'd be waiting forever if we were looking for longer time frames, if we're looking for live examples. So yeah, that's basically why I love looking at the 1 minute with you guys. I'm not saying trading the 1 minute is for everybody. I love doing it, but I want to be very clear. It is dangerous. It leads to over trading. It leads to over leverage, using not proper risk management. It leads to all those things that we should try and avoid as traders. So make sure you know yourself, understand the risks before you get started with something like that. Oh, someone's getting noise. I can do a mute here for you. I wasn't getting any noise, but looks good. Okay. But yeah, as it stands right now, as far as the 1 minute goes, on the ALGO 3, we're getting into this little bit of a supply zone here. So we're going to have to see how this is respected. I should figure out what was my average long so far. Let me just check. I'm not in a very big profit yet. What was it? Just so I can throw it up here so we can at least keep tabs on it. Yeah, 29,765. Just to be able to keep tabs. So far, that's my average entry on this position. I was talking just before I left town for the weekend. We were just kind of trading above this green box. I can't remember exactly where we were. I think over here somewhere. And I had mentioned that I was just basically starting to build a long position, and I was planning to ladder into it into this green box. That's why I was able to bring my average entry down into this box. Yeah, I probably should have waited until we got this liquidity grab and then got a much better entry wherever that candle would have closed. Basically, if I would have waited for this liquidity grab, I could have got in at some point on this candle, but I didn't. I was, like I said, I was barely even in cell service. I could barely keep an eye on things this weekend, so I just preset some orders. I was looking to ladder into this box, so that's what I have so far. But yeah, we're just gonna have to watch what happens here. I just drew a couple random things here. This yellow line here, I just basically connected this touch point with this touch point, because for those of you who are familiar with my videos, when I look at trend lines, I like to see at least a third touch point, kind of a third rejection along a trend line before it gets a close beyond it. And that's when I take a breakout of that trend line a little bit more serious. So until I have that third touch point, I don't take it all too serious. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see some kind of a pullback, something like that, and test it again. But you know, we're just gonna have to see. We're gonna keep our eyes on the MDX ALGO indicators here. I'll flip between a few different time frames here and there, but for the most part, I like having the 1 minute up just so we can see it live here. I did want to point out on the 4 hour, if I bring up the ALGO 3, I know some of you guys saw me post this already. Speaking of that W trending strategy, just kind of looking at the direction of these W's, right? So I normally look at this on the 1 minute as I'm looking for scalps, but just checking it out on a different time frame as well. You can see that here we had a high with our reversal warning there. We set a higher high. After that, our next high was actually a little higher than that. From there, we actually set another higher high. If we go to the lows, here we had our low. Our next one wasn't until this support box we got another we got a higher low here, and just since this candle has not closed yet. I want to be clear about that. This W is not officially printed yet, but it is perfectly in line with this one here. So quite honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. I wish it was slightly higher than this W here, but I do like that it is still in that support box. So if we get that W close, it's almost like a perfect double bottom with these Ws. That's something I haven't really back tested that as far as this strategy goes. It's obviously just like any strategy, it's a work in progress here. But I do like that these W's are still technically trending to the upside. So to see that with this support box, that's not looking all too bad in my opinion. The one thing that does concern me with the Bitcoin price, and why I do understand that I think there is the chance that we drop this support box, is on the dashboard for the MDX ALGO here. You can see that retail is actually quite long, and I'm actually quite surprised by that. 63.9% for Binance retail to be long. Usually that's not a good sign, because generally the market makes a fool out of the most of us. So usually I would like to see a lot of retail shorting into support, and the fact that a lot of people are starting to try and buy this level makes me think that there is the possibility that, you know, I'm on the losing side of this. I'm with the retail and we're all about to take that trip to Rec City. Whatever, it's a calculated risk. I by no means win every trade. That's just a part of trading. You just got to calculate your risk, and yeah, obviously have a stop loss. Basically just below this wick, just below 29.4 is where my stop loss is on the rest of my position. But like I said, I may actually end up downsizing it. Not quite yet, but that is something that's on my radar. Yeah, how's everyone else feeling on the market? I saw just before I started, there was a couple people saying unbiased. I'm still liking that this green box is looking decent. Even the fact that after we got this liquidity grab here, we kind of set this support box here. That's why I have this yellow box as well. And after we kind of broke from this range, we set a new high up here, and we came right back down and retested that support and came back retesting this yellow box here. So so far it is showing some strength there. I really wouldn't want to see the price even go back below this yellow box. Ideally we get above the green box and we finally stay above it. But yeah, I really don't want to see us drop back down below this yellow box, to be honest. If we do, I really don't want to see it close below this wick. But if that happens, like I said, that's when I just kind of got to change my bias a little bit and start at least entertaining the idea of swinging at some shorts. I know I haven't really been taking many shorts recently, or any for that matter, as we've been trading in this range here. But that could change. That could change tonight. In regards to printing new lows, it depends which chart you look at. Bitstamp and Coinbase don't have today as a new low, or as a low point of the range. Oh, really? This is my Bitstamp chart. Oh yeah, almost a perfect double bottom, hey? You know what? That's not the end of the world either. A nice double bottom like that. Not quite the same as liquidity grab or whatever, but that's not too bad either. When I scalp on the 1 minute, which signals do I take into confluence? I like the 5 minute and 15 minute, but the warning signals don't look the best on them. Let me hop over to the 1 minute. So on the 1 minute, let's bring up my settings here. I usually keep mine very clean. I don't use too many of the signals or anything. All I really use is trend 1. I have as the volume weighted moving average, and I have that set to 5 minutes. That would be this very quick reacting line here following the price. And then trend 2, I have the EMA and the 1 hour. I've just used that ever since I've been using this indicator, and that hasn't changed. So I just like the 1 hour trend confluence. Where is that sitting right now? So that's up here. Quite often seeing those reversal warnings printing at those the 1 hour trend is actually one of my favorite signals when making trades with the algos. As far as my trading strategies, that was probably the first one I ever kind of made up on my own, I guess, was looking for those reversal warnings along the 1 hour trend. Let me just bring up my settings again. I usually also have this moving average cloud. Type is double exponential. That's just how it came out of the box kind of thing. Other than that, all I really use is reversal warning and tops and bottoms, and supply and demand I've been using more lately. Just because the supply and demand often, it gets mapped out very similar to how I end up mapping out my support and resistance anyways. So like really, I barely have to chart anymore. I can just throw this up and it kind of does my charting for me. It's crazy what these indicators can do. But yeah, reversal warnings, that's these orange W's here. And the tops and bottoms, that would be, there's some very small blue triangles. I don't know. Yeah, here's a couple, these potential tops here, those little triangles. I use those as well. And I mean, it all depends. Like, there's not necessarily a magic number that works with these indicators that's going to just blow everything else away and it's never going to lose a trade or anything like that. I always say it's quite important to do your own back testing, find out what kind of catches your eye. Like the W strategy I use, that's just something I came up with from using the indicators, something I kind of noticed. It helps me point out a trend, but not everyone will necessarily see things the same way as me, right? We could have the same charts, the same trend lines, the same indicators, same settings, and we could trade completely different. So it is important to just find out what catches your eye. Go back, if you have a paid version of TradingView, going back and using the replay feature and finding out what works for you. Just come up with a set of rules, go back test a whole bunch of charts and see, kind of find out your probabilities, how often that trade setup plays out in your favor. Very important. But yeah, my favorite strategies have been looking for reversal warnings along the 1 hour trend, and just the direction of which way the W's are trending. Just something I seriously take into consideration now. Honestly, most scalps that I've lost in the last, let's say the last month, is when I have been ignoring my own favorite strategy, when I've just been thinking that I know better and I just take a position early before the trend shifts with the W's or something like that. I've just noticed that that's been a thing that's got me, made me lose some trades. So that's quickly become one of my favorite confluences when just looking for entries. Can you show us how to draw that green box again? Do you know what the bands fast and bands slow shows? The bands, that would be like the Bollinger Bands. I personally don't use them, so I can't tell you like specifically if one works better or worse. I'm just gonna take off supply and demand. I just want to clean up a few things if I'm gonna add those. Yeah, I'm curious. Have any of you guys used these bands, or is there one that you favor over the other? Let's just see what they both do individually here. Which one was this? Fast? Oh, this is our band slow. I mean, you can see that it does provide quite a bit of confluence quite often. You get those breakouts, and then it basically shows you a nice range that you may end up seeing. And wow, yeah, that's actually been quite nice. I should almost give these a little bit more of a chance. I keep my trading so simple, and there's a few things that I focus on. So I really haven't used those too much. But they definitely have their time and place, it looks like. Let's see what the fast ones look like. Did that change? Oh yeah, it did a little bit. Just tightens everything up a little bit. Yeah, that looks like it would be a little more chaotic. I personally like the look of the slow one a little more. Looked a little more gradual. You usually use bands slow. It seems like when you get out of the bands, it's usually a reversal. Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like here, hey? Let me switch back there. Obviously, you'd have your breakouts that can become very overextended, but kind of when you reclaim the bands, shows you a nice laid out range. Interesting. I might have to start using those a little bit more. I should keep an eye on that. Do a little back testing of that. To show you my green box again, that was on my 4 hour chart. And basically all I did was from where I set this high, higher low. Basically just the whole wick of the higher low. I was just treating this whole a kill zone, I guess, where you're just getting your wicks, but you're not getting your candle bodies. Bit of a kill zone there, so I just map out that whole wick bottom. XRP 4-hour buy signal, hey? Yeah, let's take a look at XRP here since it's been flying. If you really zoom out, I mean, I'm going back. This was 2 bull markets ago. I remember I had some XRP up here. I did not get rid of it, but yeah, that was one of my first investments in crypto. Yeah, see, we do have a very strong level of resistance, I'm going to assume. If we do pump a little bit higher, I would watch this downward sloping trend line. I'm actually going to adjust it just slightly. So like I said, I take trend lines far more serious when they have 3 touch points. And as you can see, so far we only have these 2. If we just kind of broke out of this trend line right now, I would kind of be assuming it's a fake out and it's going to get shut down. Whereas if we, not to say that has to happen, but I would be a lot more confident if we got, let's say, another push to the upside, even if we got some kind of a failed break at horizontal resistance and test this trend line once again, just get a minor pullback and then break out. I would be a lot more bullish in this case if we took a 3rd run at it, got rejected, and then the 4th run we actually broke above. That's where I would be quite bullish on XRP. I think that would be a very big pattern breaking out from back in, what, 2018? Yeah, 2018. That would carry some weight in my opinion. Let's see, 4-hour, you said there was a buy signal on the ALGO 3. I usually don't have these signals up, but, oh yes. That will close in 20 minutes, hey? Interesting. It's got this nice cloud of support below it too. One thing to consider if you are into trading something like this is just be aware that since it got this massive move, I mean, there's no secret anymore that XRP absolutely blew up the other day with that SEC battle being won. Just be cautious that this is extremely volatile and this is a huge range. I mean, even pulling back past this low here, and that wouldn't even be like our higher low yet. Even to drop down towards that, you're looking at 14-15%. So with a little bit leverage, that's quite a move to the downside. If we are to retrace this whole move, absolutely possible. I mean, a big 40% drop to the downside. I don't necessarily think we are going to retrace this whole move. I think there's a lot of buzz around XRP right now, so maybe it will do well for quite a while. I mean, 2 market cycles ago, last market cycle, it did super shitty, but it was technically probably being held down by the SEC with that court case. I'm not a fundamental guy, so I can't tell you for sure. Maybe it just wasn't meant to break its all-time high last cycle, but the cycle before that, I remember XRP being a very, very large runner that market cycle. And I mean, that strength could definitely come back. We're seeing exchanges starting to pick it back up. That being said, there's always the opposite side of the fence on that one where, hey, if more exchanges are bringing XRP back, well, guess what? That does mean that a lot more people are able to sell if they've been holding throughout this whole thing, or people are able to short it, for example, more so when more exchanges pick it up. So yes, it is good to get that volume going and that sort of thing, but it's always good to just look at both scenarios just to be ready for anything. But yeah, this is looking nice so far. Yeah, the 1 hour had a buy already. It even tried to get this reversal warning over here, and it just didn't really care. It just looks like we're gonna potentially close above that. Oh, I just gotta undo a few times to get my... Oh boy, that might take a bit. Let's just refresh this real quick. There we go. Yeah, let's just kind of keep our eye on Bitcoin here. Is there anything you guys want me to touch on specifically? If not, I mean, I'm just planning to basically have the 1 minute up, kind of babysit my trade here. I'll just map out some random trend lines, just kind of do some freestyle analysis here. Oh. I like to see that. We still have, it's a bit of mixed signals right now on the W's, but I do like to see this. I find quite often what I see is like if you get, let's say a W, let's say right here we get a top W, and then all of a sudden we get another one like that. Quite often if we get the pullback after 2 in a row like that, and then we get some kind of a W here, that's where it can be a very nice buy signal. And then, I mean, depending how cautious you want to be, but then all of a sudden you'll eventually get another W up here, and that's when you can start taking profits or whatever. If you're looking at it from a scalping point of view like that, it can just be a very powerful tool of confluence. Yeah, Asian market opens in 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. They're the start of the daily candle, right? I find that quite often I get on these streams, and then on the new daily open, not a heck of a lot has happened. Yeah, MDX, the oscillator 5 down here. Yeah, I like to see that. We do have this little green dot, which is kind of a bit of a continuation warning. And as well, we have the money flow cloud is green, which I really like. Because generally speaking, money talks. That can be such a powerful little bit of confluence. And honestly, on the weekly chart, that's one thing keeping me bullish. Oh yeah, I was doing some shit on this one, hey? Let's go back to my weekly chart. And this is very significant that we still do have a green money flow cloud. So that's one of the reasons why I don't really want to flip too bearish. Yes, I absolutely see the reason why we could pull back on something like the 4 hour, even the daily, but to see this type of money flowing into the market is a very good sign, in my opinion. This has been such a strong signal for big moves in the market. I mean, you can see last time it flipped red was right here. I mean, look what happened to the market after that. Absolutely dumped. Looking at where it flipped green last, you can see I had it marked out back here. I mean, 600-700% move to the upside. Even something like this after we did flip green, yeah, it was a bit late, but it's still got a fairly nice move to the upside, almost 100%. So, I mean, well, let's look at this one. This one's obviously ridiculous. But look at the size of these moves that the weekly time frame flipping that money flow cloud can do for the market. So yes, obviously these are earlier market cycles and you're going to get much larger moves. I am not saying we would get something like a 73x out of that signal. That those days for Bitcoin are over. But it is still just a great signal to see that money flow green still. That's a very good sign in my opinion. I've been talking about that for months. That was one of the things last year before Christmas, I believe it was, or just after Christmas. I think it was right about here it flipped. Yeah, with this big candle is where it flipped, and a lot of people were calling for manipulation and stuff like that. But that's where I noticed that the oscillator 5 cloud was flipping green on the old money flow there. So that was a very good signal, in my opinion, just for suggesting that, hey, things might be shifting here. And I still strongly believe that. Evergrande, that Chinese property giant. Yeah, they reveal a $81 billion loss. Yeah, that's something that, that could have an impact on all the markets. And obviously that trickles down to crypto, going through the more traditional markets and trickling down into crypto. Generally speaking, we kind of go the same direction. So that could definitely be something to keep an eye on. But I almost feel like the Evergrande, the property giant there, it's kind of reminding me of over the last few years. I mean, now China is more on board with crypto, but for the last few years, it was every few months you would see that China's banning crypto, India's banning crypto, and there would be Tether FUD. And you would see those three things keep happening over and over. And now I find that it seems like whenever the market gets to a certain point, then I start seeing this property company come up, and it just seems to be one of those recycling FUD articles. And I don't want to make light of it because it is a massive company and that could have a huge impact on the markets, but I have a feeling that the media is just going to stick it in there at convenient times. But like I said, I'm not much on fundamentals. Honestly, I keep my trading quite simple. I draw colorful lines and I see how they react, basically. So just because when I try and look at the news, read articles, base my trading off of that, I mean, I know some people who do it great. I don't. I trade it better when I just draw lines and trade them. So I just don't look at fundamentals too much. But yeah, absolutely, that could be a big one. I think it was last time we were streaming, someone had mentioned, oh, what's that? Mount Gox again. That's another one that I find the FUD keeps resurfacing. That Mount Gox is releasing those Bitcoin any day now, and there's going to be a ton of selling pressure on the market. But I've been hearing that every half year or so for the last 3 or 4 years. So, like, yes, absolutely. Again, it's one of those things that if that happens, it could absolutely be devastating to the market short to mid term, honestly. But I do keep seeing those articles come up at certain times, and then nothing really does come of them. So just something to be a little cautious of when looking at the news. I just find that there's myself also is just that I might misunderstand how it's going to impact the economy, right? Like I might hear a piece of news and interpret it one way and then totally be blindsided when it affects the markets the exact opposite because of something that I never thought of. A perfect example of that was when COVID initially started and the market nuked. I think Bitcoin dropped back down to like 4,800 US dollars or whatever it was. I know the charts were telling me, hey, you should definitely be buying this level. It's a support level I had mapped out and all that kind of stuff. But I kept thinking and I kept hearing, well, how are people going to be able to afford Bitcoin when they can't even afford food? People don't know if they're going to be working, all that kind of stuff. Basically the same kind of stuff I'm hearing about the economy now and the recession. Well, why would people be buying Bitcoin if they're not going to be able to afford food and stuff like that? It just, it feels very similar to that time when, hey, I never understood that, yes, although it was bad for the economy, the market's pumped because they injected a bunch of money into the market and forced it to, right? But just those things that you can misunderstand until you know all sides of the story. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I stay away from fundamentals, is just because I understand that, I can read charts wrong and I could also interpret the news wrong, and then I have two things that might be working against me. So I like to stick to one personally. Yeah, exactly. The people who benefit from the news are the people who knew it before anyone else, and that's exactly it. And I never think I'm even close to one of the first people to hear it. For one, because I don't follow it very much. The only news I get is honestly through the the Discord group. When I see other people in there posting things, that's basically all I get. All of my news intake. So I never assume I'm one of the first. The event is old, like 1 to 2 years now. Which event? Sorry, are you talking Mount Gox? Or... And that's the thing too, is, oh yeah, the Evergrande collapse. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I can't remember if it was a year or two ago, but yeah, it's definitely been a thing for over a year now. Hey, we're trying to get out of my green box. Look at it go. Look at it not go. Still got some green money flow cloud down here. Just to make it easier to look at here, I'm just going to remove some color from my green box here, so we can see these supply zones, or demand zones rather. I do like that the ALGO 3 is printing so many of these demand zones as we're inside my green box. That's great to see. Like even this, as far as the scalp goes, I mean, that was a nice signal there. You could have got in right here, basically. I mean, if you were just scalping to the top of the box or up to this resistance or whatever. Obviously, it's a small move and it's on a 1 minute. But again, as far as scalping goes, that was not a bad signal there. Hopefully it turns into a much better signal here. If we get the next W on top higher than the previous one, they would, we have higher W on both sides. That's enough for a long entry. Depends how much risk you want to take, I guess. I still think that it's best, like, let's say we set another higher W. I don't know if you'd necessarily want to enter right at that level, because that still could technically be a profit taking signal from this signal down here. But if you have, let's say, a new higher W here, and then let's say another higher W on the bottom, that could be a nice signal. And then you have your stop loss just somewhere below the previous one a little bit, probably just below this demand zone. As far as looking for a scalp. And remember, when you're trading the 1 minute, that's another thing I wanted to touch on. Whenever you're in a position or you're trading a time frame, make sure you're also taking profits and setting stop losses and whatnot based on that time frame. Like, you're not entering a 1 minute scalp like here, for example, and hoping to catch, a move all the way to the top of the 4 hour range or anything like that. Like, yeah, it would be great if it happened, but just make sure that your expectations are realistic based on whatever time frames you're looking for, or what time frames you're trading rather. Yeah, exactly. Biggest problem, that damned greediness. And honestly, myself too. And I think that goes for most traders. It's not that difficult to get into a winning position, but it's hard to take profits on a winning position. I honestly think one of the hardest things in trading is actually hitting that take profit button. And I think that's where it's very helpful to take partial profits. Like I said, I'm usually pretty quick to close a quarter or a third or half my position and then let some run, so you don't necessarily have the whole, oh, I shouldn't have closed my position, but also, that goes both ways, right? If you crash right back down and you took nothing, then, oh shit, I should have taken some of my profits, right? So, and that's what I like about Just going to clean things up a little bit here. I'm just going to keep that on our radar here. I just want to pull up the trade setup. I'm curious to see how this looks right now in this volatility. I know I brought this up in my previous stream. Is this trade setup? Here, where was it? Trade setup feature on the ALGO 3 settings. That gives actual entries and take profits, stop loss. I usually keep my stop a little bit looser when I do use it, but me personally, I usually like to choose my own entries for positions. But what I really do like about this feature is just that it's very specific about taking profits. It's very in your face. They're laid out there right in front of your eyes. So it's very nice to see this. You know, like we were just talking about, it's easy to get greedy. It's easy that when you're in a winning position to think you're the smartest person in the world, and hey, maybe at these levels I now want to double down or triple down on my position because I feel so smart that I'm in a winning one from down here. But in reality, I should most likely think about taking profits if I'm feeling that way, and this feature can really help drill that into your head. I don't always have it up because I like having such a clean chart, but definitely a nice feature there. Bybit already gave the W on top, but not my MEXC chart. Yeah, that's the thing too, is every chart may vary slightly, right? I mean, whether you're on a different exchange, or let's say you're on USDT or USD or USDC, all those different trading pairs, the signals could vary slightly, so that is something to be cautious about. Four-hour W confirmed. Hey, it is on MEX, and it did technically close above my box, just to get it to the perfect spot on that wick there. It's having a hard time staying above, but yeah, I do like to see that we got that W close. Like I said, I'm kind of on the fence about this one just because it's not higher than our previous one, but it's also not lower, so it's fairly neutral there. Watch us just nuke right through now. I do like, you know, the fact that we got a green candle body closing inside this box. That's nice with that liquidity grab. But I'll feel better when I see how far this pulls back into this candle and then see it moonshot. That would be just great. Just see us engulf this whole range here and close above that. Man, that would be pretty sick, hey? That is always an op. Oh, here we go. Need some confluence. Hey, you nailed it at the end of my last stream. You were the only one feeling bearish and you shorted. You nailed it. I'll give you that one. Oh, you're long. Attaboy. Stu, can you pull up the one-day TMA trend? Sure. Let's just... TMA, you said, and 1 day. Ooh. Now, that's interesting, and that's something to watch for if we do end up breaking this support, actually. Thank you for pointing that out. That, let's say we kind of close candle bodies just below, but we actually have this support coming and catching us. I mean, that's something to watch, that there could be a bigger fake out at play there. Yeah, bounce off that. That could be interesting. Ideally, we pump up and it pulls this above this green box. I just really want to see some strength out of the bulls in this green support box, just because that, like I said, that is our higher low as far as this trend goes. I really want to see some strength out of the bulls here. I'm hoping this little liquidity grab here can let them finally pull the trigger there. But yeah, that's very interesting. That would be a nice little bit of a fake out. Really grab some liquidity, because like I said, even at that point, I'm definitely considering flipping bearish. But that's something to watch for sure. Yeah, maybe we'll just stay in the box, kind of consolidate sideways. That would be kind of, I guess, what you'd consider a time-based correction, just letting indicators catch up. Or yeah, see some kind of a wick down, tap that back up. Oh, the ALGO 3 hit its first take profit. So as far as scalping goes right now, I guess, well, as far as this very small swing goes, we'd be looking at this now as our higher low, just because we did get a close above this level. But that's a very micro swing. I'd like to see us stay above this low here. I mean, ideally, we just get above this green box and actually flip it back into support. But the bulls are still playing hard to get. See how I was talking about the indicator automatically mapping out these supply and demand zones? This is just a perfect example. That's what I was treating as our higher low on this little swing here. And you can see that that did form this little demand zone here. This very lightly colored green box. Not to say it has to hold. This is just a 1 minute, you guys. But that's what I was talking about, how I barely have to chart anymore, honestly. The indicator just kind of does everything for me. See, there's some sort of demand there, like it's saying. Yes, hold above that green box. Come on. Do it, bulls. Come on. Yeah, come on, Asia. This is your chance. Pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Great song. Play the jingle. I don't have it handy. I don't want to load YouTube or... Here we go. Uno momento. I don't know how this is going to carry through my microphone.
You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up.
I don't know if you guys can hear that at all, or if it sounds like total garbage. Ah, that's too bad. How does it not pick that up? It was right in the microphone. Oh well. Every time I try and play music on my computer while I'm recording, I always have issues uploading, and it always comes down, it always brings up these copyright issues, so I don't want to screw over this whole upload. Yeah, well, I suppose that's good, that I have good noise reduction, even though it was playing right into the mic. That's good, though. You probably don't hear my cats yelling all the time. Man, it is really struggling with this green box, though, to actually hold above it. And like I said, there could actually be some wiggle room there. There's a chance this isn't perfectly accurate and we're more something like that, in which case we're not even at the top, but I like to keep it how I typically draw them, and that would be how I initially had it. Oh, I guess that's on a different chart, hey? Oh, I gotta change this chart a little. That'll play in our favor. Oh yeah. See, look at that higher low I was talking about. Totally played out. Still got that uptrend. Oh, I should put this back to where my entry was, just so we can keep an eye on it. I might actually update my stop loss to break even, you guys. At this point, yeah, I would consider re-entering if I get stopped out, but I don't think I want to take a loss on this position anymore, and especially the fact that we are kind of trying to hold above this green box. I don't know if I want to see any more weakness come into the market and drop us back in, especially like deeply into it like that. I think I'm actually going to set my stop in just a very small profit. Well, yeah, basically break even. Hopefully cover the fees. 769? That sounds like a good number. Maybe 768. Basically stop at break even. I just don't want to take a loss on this anymore at this point. Which wick are you going off of for the green box? I'll just take off the ALGO just because it's a little distracting there. But that would be just back here. So back from June 23rd. just because that's where we had this high, higher high, higher low. So I'm just taking that whole wick of that higher low and making that my support box. We do have a big red cloud above us, and this is on the 4 hour. That could be resistance, and like I said, also this lower high structure as far as this swing goes. So there is definitely resistance to be aware of. Just another reason why I think I'm going to update my stop loss. And yeah, even further above that, obviously a huge supply zone there. And I can actually zoom out quite a bit and see where that comes from. That comes from all the way back here. We had this resistance back here, and you can see that's still the supply zone that the ALGO 3 is picking up. So definitely worth being cautious at these levels. $15-minute. Mex C has not printed a new W on the 15 yet. XRP on the 1 hour. It's trying to print a higher W here. Obviously, then we would hope to see a higher W forming on the bottom if that is to happen. That candle has almost an hour to go until it closes, so we'll see. BTC USD. I assume you're on like Bybit when you said the 15 printed. Bitcoin versus USDT. Oh, on KuCoin. Looks like you're on the 5-minute on that chart, though. Oh, maybe that's why. Yeah, let's see if my 5-minute matches up. It does. So yeah, now I would love to see, you know, a higher W come into play, something like that. Could be a good sign. Oh yeah, KuCoin has printed the double. Yeah, so then in that case I would still be waiting for, like, if you got the pullback and you got the higher low W to go with that, would be a very nice signal. And obviously there's probably other ways, like other confluences you can look for. Like I said, it's still important to find out what works for you, what catches your eye. If you have certain trading setups that you like to take, and just using the trends of the W can be strong confluence to add to an already existing strategy you have, or that sort of a thing. So you don't necessarily need that other one for an entry if you have something else you're checking out, but it can definitely be worth keeping an eye on. How many of you guys have been paying attention to the trending W's? I know a couple of you definitely have since I've been talking about them. And yeah, let me know if that strategy has improved things for you, made things worse, about the same. Like, I'm curious to hear how other people have done with that strategy, if they like it or not. Something else I want to mention, just in case any of you guys aren't aware, and if your colors look weird on the candles or anything like that, just because I forgot to mention it earlier. If you go to MDX ALGO 3 and click on the three dots, go visual order, make sure you have bring to front selected. Otherwise, your candles can look a little funny and things just don't look as sharp. Just wanted to make sure I bring that to your attention in case there's anyone new here who they find that their chart doesn't look as clean as mine or something like that. Ooh, a little double Topinacci looking thing right here. Getting near a lot of supply here showing up just below the 1 hour trend as well. Something worth mentioning. But yeah, I am actually going to update my stop loss before I forget. Basically break even, a few bucks above break even, but Thump uses the W's. Steven Stewart, you use it not so much on alts. Yeah, and that's another thing, you guys, is other trading pairs may treat different strategies differently, right? Not everything has to act the exact same. I've really only used this strategy with trading Bitcoin, so I'm not sure. Actually, no, that's not true. I have used it trading Solana a while back as well. So I have used it on altcoins, but I don't know how often it works on them or anything. I just haven't used it a lot for them. But if anyone else has, I am curious if there's certain time frames that you found worked really good or anything like that. On the 5 second, you've been using the way I watch the trending W's, but then you watch the other side of price for the entry points. What do you mean, other side of price? Oh, I see you posted some pictures there. Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff starting to flip bullish on your screen there. Hey, I still got to do that, man. I swear I'm not trying to ignore that. I still really want to get into it with you, talking about using multiple trends like that. Obviously nobody on my YouTube channel will be able to see what you have posted here, but yeah, that's definitely something still on my radar. I've just been so busy lately. Summer always seems like I'm super busy. I've had stags and weddings and stuff like that, so but yeah, that's something I want to dive into, do a little back testing, because I've seen you nail some very nice, very high leverage trades. And as the degen I am, I love what I see there. Yeah, exactly. If the W's are trending up, the W's on the bottom are more likely to be the correct call. Yeah, exactly. If they're trending up, I'm not really trying to scalp the short side of them, right? Like if they're trending up, I'm just trying to play the long side from bottom W's. And same on the opposite end. If they're trending down, then I'm looking for the top W's, looking for short entries. And using the opposite for more so take profits, which there is obviously the take profit signals as well. I just try to keep my charts so clean. I don't like too many letters all over the place. It's the great thing about these indicators. You can just customize them to fit the way you like to trade so nicely. Yeah, still pumping. Hey, oh yeah. You know what? We're getting close to the 1 hour. I'm actually going to take a little bit of profits, you guys. I'm going to close I'm only going to close 10% of my position, though. Actually, I'm going to close 20% of my position, a fifth. But the rest I am leaving just because we're getting close to that 1 hour trend. And if we end up getting up to this 1 hour trend and forming a W, something like somewhere up in this area, I'd actually consider taking a little bit more profits. Just a little bit more, just to reduce risk. Make sure I lock in a little more. Like I said, I have a stop that's basically at break even right now. So at least right now I have locked in a little bit something. Because although, like I said, I'm bullish on this setup here on the 4 hour, but even if I'm wrong, I'd be happy to at least lock in a little bit of profits, even if I'm wrong on this position. That's the beauty of taking partial positions and updating stop losses, is even if you're wrong, you can still make money. Not that it's a lot. Like I said, I only closed part of my position, but yeah, getting into some supply zones. Like I said, that 1 hour trend, that was always kind of one of my favorite strategies with this indicator, especially that we haven't even got a W along it yet from a bearish point of view. So, I mean, it's absolutely possible we see something like that. Whales too selling. I wish. I gotta send a picture of that to my buddy because he kept calling me a whale yesterday. Oh, that's funny. I probably won't have this stream going much longer, you guys, just because it takes forever to upload these when they get too long, but I'll still stick around for a little bit. I've covered everything that I want to with you guys. I'm really just watching this position at this point, but yeah, I'll stick around for a little bit longer with you guys, see what happens now that we're actually getting some kind of a pump here. Uh, 900 was where I took a little. Brew some fresh coffee to stay awake tonight in Germany. Well, I'm not going to tell you not to do that. I could go for a coffee. Yeah, I know it's late for some of you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm still going to be around for a bit for those of you who got to get going. By all means, I've went over everything I need to. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Hopefully I said some things that made something click or was just helpful or just entertaining, if nothing else. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully just kind of sharing how I look at these strategies helps a little bit. I know everyone has their own strategies and trading styles, but this is just kind of how I use the indicators, and they're the only indicators I've used basically over the last year. So really like coming up with strategies for them. Cool. Ah, that's good. I like to hear that you guys are at least getting something out of these. I mean, may as well just leave the stream run if it's going to make my position look really good here. I may as well let it keep running. Like I kept saying to you guys over the last few weeks, really the last 3 weeks, I kept saying support is support until it's broken. And by all means, this does not mean that support has absolutely taken off or anything. Very small move so far. But you can still see that it's obviously a very significant level of interest in the market. So even though it looks weak, it always does until it does its thing. So just something to be cautious of there. Definitely getting into a bit of a resistance zone. But the W's are still printing higher. A rapid move to the top of this zone? That'd be pretty sweet. I mean, kind of what I was talking about earlier, that one thing that is a little bit alarming to me is just how much we're testing this box. I mean, even these, like, obviously it's been tested a lot. So how many hits can it take? But I mean, you gotta give that an equal weight at the top, that, you know, we have absolutely tested the top of this range many times, and we still have those W's climbing to the upside. You know, just at this point, we're still just stuck in this range. You know what? Maybe we just trade sideways in this range for months. Who knows? But we just play it for what it is. See what happens as we get near the top. Be cautious. Start thinking about taking some profits, that kind of thing, if you're in long positions or anything. But yeah, like I said, I'm more so hoping to take a little bit of profits on the way and then catch, well, hopefully this is the one that actually breaks out and I get a much larger move. That would be fantastic. But does it have to happen? Absolutely not. Big FV gap. Oh, yeah, like this unfilled action here, hey? Yeah, you know, that's absolutely a thing that could be, even if we do start trending lower, I mean, it would make sense that we get some kind of a pump to the upside and then see a lower W form like this. At that point, I would consider getting a little more bearish as well. Just kind of fill this candle gap, get back up to these levels. Another thing to watch for would be Fibonacci's in that case. Thanks for bringing that up, actually. I hope that's what you were talking about. But also looking for a potential rejection point if I take my Fibonacci's from the top of this swing down to where we've bottomed out so far. You guys know I love the 786, 886 Fibonacci's. So if we start trading into that pocket and then we see a lower W or something like that, I would actually be considering shorting at that point as well. We're going to have to see what happens. But as it stands right now, that's something that I want to bring to your attention. Watch those Fibonacci's. But yeah, that unfilled gap right there, that could definitely be something worth paying attention to. Holy! Why were you guys keeping this a secret? I'm actually considering taking a little more profits, you guys. Maybe I won't yet. Something to consider if you are in a position and you're just less of a risk junkie than myself. We did have this low, and our lower low was down here. This is our high, or our lower high at that level, and that's where we're getting very close to right now. It's actually probably not a bad idea to take a little profits. But I mean, the bulls are hungry. I'll give them that. I don't like that this 1 hour trend hasn't caught up to the price on the 1 minute. I'd like to see it exactly, but oh, fuck yeah. Here we go. LFG. Man, as soon as all your trends there, I know, again, people on my YouTube channel won't be able to see this, but Thump, on your picture there, as soon as they all flip green like that, man, that was such a strong signal. Love it. Love to see other people coming up with strategies with these as well. Well, there's your $30,000, $40 target there, Pete. Nice. Yeah, you know, I might take a little more profits here. That was a nice little pump, and I would hate to have missed taken any, but after that I'm gonna take 10% of my original position, so I will now only have 70% left. I'll leave the other 70% of my position run here. Might have been just in time. Oh, I forgot I still have the TP signals up. Maybe I should leave those up. I'm going to leave those up for a while. And you know what? Honestly, that's something else I was thinking with these indicators is it's this trending W strategy probably goes beyond just the W's. I haven't done any back testing on the other signals or anything like that. The W's is what I noticed it on, but I assume that take profits and other signals probably have something very similar where they would help spot out the trend. Same with the long and short signals. I assume that you could spot out a trend with those signals moving forward and stuff like that. This is just what I've personally grown to use for the most part. But by all means, do some experimenting with them. I'd be curious to hear if you guys come up with any different trading strategies like that. Obviously, when I say experiment, I would much rather have you do some back testing, like in the chart on the replay feature, not necessarily with money while you're figuring it out. But I'm sure it would be very similar. The other orange dots, that is just over trend exhaustion. Yeah, it's not a bad idea to have them all up, honestly. Like, just having... I kind of treat them all the same. They're just a warning that something may be changing, right? Like, they're either a trend exhaustion, a take profit if you're in a trade from the opposite direction, or a reversal warning. They're all kind of hinting at potentially the same thing. So that you just get more warning signals if you have them all up like that. They are figured out differently, obviously. I don't know the exact science or math behind that, but the W's is just kind of what I've grown to use for the most part. The square one with the point, you're talking the divergences. That's another good one. I typically don't have it up, but that's another good one quite often. But yeah, same thing, right? You can see them trending up, obviously. Here would have been a good one, but then obviously you got the mixed signals with pulling back a little more. That being said, obviously your stop loss would be somewhere below the previous one, most likely below the structure, so it still would have been a great call. Just really, at that point, you just got to come up with your own set of rules and do some back testing, find out how it works, right? But yeah, those signals can be quite juicy as well. But yeah, you can see they're obviously pointing out this uptrend here the whole way. That's not the top and bottom. That is just the divergences. This guy here on the ALGO 3 settings, divergences, that's the regular one. The top and bottom is the very small blue triangles. These guys. Oh, missed. Those guys. The top and bottoms, kind of a little of both. The top and bottoms signals, these little blue triangles, aren't printed until the next candle. Well, you shouldn't take it as a signal until the next candle has closed. I'm sure it would have been here right when this candle closed and this one was moving, but it is based off the following candle, just kind of seeing how I don't know, probably just how the market reacts after the area that it thinks was probably a pivotal point. Then it waits for that reaction and then it prints it. So it is a candle late. Like this signal here wouldn't have been effective until this candle closed down here, for example. Here we go. Come on, bears. I mean, bulls. Whoops. Bulls. Do the thing. Pump it up. Yeah, that's another thing too, is sometimes you'll get two signals together, whether it's two W's, two tops, two bottoms, two trend exhaustion, or what was it? Yeah, trend exhaustions. I do notice that with the tops and bottoms and the reversal warnings quite often, that if you do have two very close together, that can be a good sign. Especially if they're trending in a direction, even though they're right beside each other, if there is a slight change to where they're sitting, like slightly higher, for example, that gives it a little more credibility too, in my opinion. I haven't paid attention to that super close. Like this strategy is honestly, as far as the time I've been trading and stuff, I still consider it a new strategy to me. So there are things that I've noticed, but I'm not going to take as gospel, kind of a thing. As far as even on the 1 minute chart, our higher low is way down here. That yellow line there. Right, because we have our high. Oops. We have our high. This was not higher, so our next high is up here. Lowest point between the two. I'm treating this as our higher low. So if we pull back and we see candles closing below that level, that's where I'll start to think that maybe we're going to pull back a little more. But as it stands right now, that's kind of the level I'd be watching. I gotta clean up some of these signals here. I'm gonna keep take profits on there. I am going to get rid of the divergences, just because I find that sometimes those divergences cover the letter, like the W's that I'm watching for, stuff like that. So that's for the most part the reason I don't use that one. Higher highs and higher lows before this. So like currently high, higher high, higher low. Before that, just as far as this swing goes anyways, before that, I would say down here, Like technically this might have been a higher high, higher low, but I don't know. That's so tight there. I would say more something like this. Because we had this high, then we obviously broke above it for our higher high, so this would have been our low point between the two. Then before that, I would say down here, because this was our higher high, this was the high before that. Obviously got above it. This would have been our higher low in that case. So even on a 1 minute, you guys, you can see how powerful that basic structure is. I know a lot of people hate getting into a position, let's say when the move is half over, for example, and that's totally fair. And actually, that's probably a safer way of doing things is holding off. But if you're into scalping like me, and I mean, that's honestly why I kind of prefer scalping, is because this is the kind of situation where, like, hey, I technically have, you know, this high, higher high, here's our higher low. So after getting this little breakout here, I can just kind of ladder in towards the stop loss down here, nice tight stop loss, and still have that structure back in me. Yeah, absolutely, you might lose the trade in that case, but at least you do have a nice tight stop loss if that is the type of scalp that you're looking for. So yeah, in a trending market, even on a 1 minute like this, you still see that basic structure respected quite well. So now, for example, if we get a candle body close above this level, let's say we close up here, then I can obviously move my higher low up to this level. As it stands right now, this is not a confirmed higher low. Yes, it looks like one, but until we break our current high, I'm not considering it confirmed. It's still down here for now. Hopefully that makes sense. No W at the circle. Tough to say. That's the thing with like reliance specifically on a strategy like that, is that, you know, sometimes you will, for example, you have these W's trending higher high, higher high, higher high. I guess that's a different signal, but up until this point they were all higher highs, but we never did get another higher W after this one. So even though we were trending higher W's on the top, we never did get another a higher low come in. So whether that means that it's just not printing one for whatever reason, or maybe we haven't pulled back enough yet, maybe we're gonna maybe we're gonna pull to the bottom of this cloud here, also retest our higher low here, and then see a W there. I mean, that could be a beautiful signal in that case. Obviously doesn't have to play out that way, just kind of something to keep on the radar, something to watch for. Potential setup. Guys, since things are kind of calming down, just obviously after our pump, things might have to consolidate, find some little consolidation periods before continuing up or reversing down. And this stream has been almost 2 hours. I should really get to uploading it because it does take a while. So I think I'm gonna go. I'm getting hungry anyways. I should really get on that maybe. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. For those of you who are not in MDX Crypto's private VIP private Discord, and you want to be a part of these sessions and get in on these live streams, and I'm not the only coach in here, there's several of us, there's basically daily live streams with coaching lessons, some very experienced traders in the group. It's just such a helpful community. Everyone's just willing to help each other out. I've learned so much being a part of this community. If that is something that interests you, obviously if you're interested in these indicators, I do have a referral link down below that gives you 15% off. But like I said, if you want to be a part of the Discord community as well, that's another part of it. The indicators, in my opinion, are only half the value. I love them. They're my favorite indicators, but honestly, the amount of value you can take from the experienced traders in the group is just mind-blowing. And getting involved with the space like this, it's great to have people, like-minded crypto people to talk to and discuss strategies and stuff. So if that's something that interests you guys, there is a link down below. For those of you who are with me here right now, thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to do it again. I do have a camping trip planned this weekend, so I'm going to be going, sometime next week I'll get back in with you guys, but I'll be in the chat and stuff like that. So obviously, friends, none of this has been financial advice. Always do your own research, form your own opinions, do your own back testing, all that sort of stuff. But like I said, if you're watching this on my YouTube channel a little later and you appreciated this insight, please do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. And if you want, as I mentioned, if you want to be a part of these live streams, get involved with the community and live coaching events, get the indicators, all that sort of stuff. There's a 15% discount referral link in the description down below. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. May the crypto gods shine on you guys. Peace.